Dear brothers and sisters, Brother Dorai said something about listening attentively, and that is an advice worth heeding at all times. Because we hear, I think, in the Christian tradition, ye have eyes but ye see not, ye have ears but you hear not. All that we do is to speak interminably. And we speak so much that we have no time to listen. In my experience with Abhyasis over the last, I think, almost 44 years now, and before that, in my experience in business, for the company which I was serving, that was about 30 years, I have found that people never listen. And that is the cause of most of the misunderstandings in this world. And if you can but listen, you don't ever have to speak. Because whether it be medical therapy or psychological or even in love, and of course most of all in spirituality, silence is all that is necessary. Babaji Maharaj has said silence is the language of the God, and you have the direct evidence in the Tower of Babel, where there were so many languages, nobody could understand each other. Today we are also a polyglot society. But here at least we are trying to listen not with our ears but with our hearts. And it is with your hearts that you must listen to what I am to say in my next few minutes of talk. First, time is short. Opportunity is great. The goal is invaluable. It's a prize that is worth any sacrifice of time, of effort, of life itself. Brother Dorai also mentioned that these marriages will contribute to the future of humanity. Lalaji Maharaj, whose birth anniversary we are celebrating today, has ordained. It was not merely an expression of his wishes. Has ordained that Abhyasis should marry amongst each other, so that in 2-3 generations we have an exploding Sahaj Marg population. The population already prepared genetically, because parents are both people who are meditating, people who have learned to cultivate their souls, people who have learned the art of communicating with their inner selves, which is God, in silence, in happiness, in blessedness. Hopefully these children will form the core groups of emerging Sahaj Marg societies everywhere in this world. Today you have seen how many marriages we have celebrated from all over India and 2 from outside India. So these marriages play a very important part, and they are not just merely marriages for your convenience, your happiness, your pleasure, your emotional satisfaction. But in the Indian tradition, the great ancient Indian tradition, a marriage links together two rivers of life. One river represented by the girl's family and one by the boys. It is not just a marriage of two, as it tends to be in many societies outside India. It is like a confluence of two rivers merging together and bringing the best of both streams into the now new stream which will flow forth from this confluence. This is the tradition in which the river Ganga is worshipped in India, which in its course from the Himalayan north to the east on its vast long journey has so many confluences with other rivers, and they are all sacred, because where two merge to bring one forth, which carries the best of both, the blessings of both, the benedictions of both, that emerging stream has a greater spiritual wealth, value, future than the two which merge together. This is the vast, ancient, sacred Indian tradition of marriage. Remember, when two people are married here, it goes back to the so-called Rishis on each side who blessed that marriage. So in a very special, very significant tradition, these marriages are blessed by the progenitors, spiritual progenitors on both sides. And that is the blessedness this couple will bring to their marriage and to their progeny. Marriage is therefore sacred, full of blessings, full of happiness and the joy of life. So Sahaj Marg is doing its best to contribute to elevating, upgrading the future population of this world. But it depends on these married couples who will leave the stage today, what they bring to their marriage. Is it just emotional satisfaction, physical satiation, and fulfillment of each other's needs, or will they view marriage and their coming together as something with a holy purpose behind it, the very purpose of evolution, a purpose so strong, so powerful, so necessary, so urgent as to demand these marriages, because the future is waiting. We must remember one thing, that the future is waiting with awed breath, asking, is this marriage going to produce what I want, what we need, what the future needs? Will these couples produce the future for which I am waiting, the future says? Or are they just going to be another married couple enjoying their marriage, bickering, fighting, quarreling? Or do they sense in this marriage the need for a serene approach to marriage, a purposeful approach, a holy approach to marriage, knowingly contributing to the future, not merely to propagate the species, but to propagate the spiritual wealth that they carry within themselves, the blending of which must produce a new force in the history of human beings. So I exhort all of you to remember that those who are married here have a very special purpose in their lives. Everything will be given to those who contribute to the evolutionary purpose of this universe. Babaji said, those who contribute and live for the future, but not in the present, not in the past, they will have special blessings because they are fulfilling nature's purpose. May it be so. The next thing I have to say is that to fulfill that purpose, we Abhyasis We are also part of that enormous resource pool from which nature hopes to selectively pick up ardent, loving hearts whose sole purpose will be the establishment of this new society of Sahaj Marg, a spiritual society. It has no politics in it, it has no economics in it, it has no ambitions in it. This society of ours is only for spiritual spread of the messages of the great masters you see here, and to bring forth a new humanity stronger and stronger in a spiritual purpose, knowing that the physical bodily needs are few. Even the multi-billionaires of this world, what can they consume? A breakfast, a lunch, a dinner. How much can they consume? Less than what the laborers of the fields consume. So how much do they need? We are not asking how much they want. How much do they need? No more than you or I need. A few euro a day. But they have magnified their wants, So from these pedals which nature gave to us, to pedals on a bicycle, two-wheelers, four-wheelers, limousines in the American tradition. Yet they are only vehicles to get you from here to there. This body is but a vehicle for the soul to take us from birth, not to death, but into eternity, which we call liberation. And there we have the purpose of becoming one with the universe, one with the maker of the universe, him whom we call Master, God, whatever you like, which is the ultimate union in spiritual life. This can be very short if you realize that the journey is from here to here. It can be very long, eternally long, if you think it is from here to there. We have read of the greatest scientists of this world, the great philosophers of the West, leading their lives in purposeless pursuit, so-called discovery of everything outside themselves, but never seeking within for that which they should have sought and which they would have found, given their intelligence, their acumen, and their purposefulness. But we have to say, alas, they looked out when they should have been looking within. Spirituality says, look inside. Outside there's nothing, more and more of the same thing. More and more of human beings, more and more of animals, more and more of atoms, more and more of I don't know what, More and more beaches, more and more swimsuits, more and more mountains to climb. Climbing which, what have you achieved? Some silly article of silver or gold to show that you were there. Photographs. The true spiritual purpose in which we are all occupied here, when it culminates in that successful union of this with that, there are no photographs, no medals, no honors. Today in the newspapers you will find photographs of politicians, of rich men, beautiful women, criminals. They all share the same platform of the press. Because either you are famous or you are notorious. To have your picture in the papers, you must be either famous or notorious or both. In spirituality, you are neither famous nor notorious, nor are medals given, nor is there even recognition that so-and-so has achieved his purpose. It cannot be said, it must not be said. It must not be even remembered, because if the man who has achieved remembers that he has achieved, then there is still the duality in his mind that he has not achieved. So you see, the spiritual life culminates not in annihilation as the Westerners are afraid of, but in a total loss of yourself in the higher self and in the highest self. So I repeat, for this purpose, to carry out the Master's plans, nature's plans, there is need for dedicated, single-minded devotees who will give themselves to this purpose without reservation, without expectation, even for recognition. And today I welcome such devotees silently, secretly into this great fold that we call Sahaj Marg, for they will further the sacred purpose of this mission and carry the torch into the future. May they be blessed. Thank you.